right back here on the Early Line, the SportsGrid Network here. You want to tune in and watch us? We're on a plethora, a ton of spots here, and also, more importantly, SportsGrid Radio. And also go over to the SportsGrid app, download it right now. You can listen to us live wherever you go. The best app in the business. But for now, it's on your right side of the show. We're nearing the hottest topics, including out in Oxnard, California. Every single day, we are hearing news clippings here of Micah Parsons, what he's saying, but more importantly, what Jerry Jones is saying here. And here's Jane Slater of the NFL Network caught up with Jerry Jones.
I bought the Dallas Cowboys with a handshake. Took about 30 seconds, and I gave the number, shook hands. The details we worked out later. As a matter of fact, one of the details involved a lot of money, and we had to flip a coin over that. But the fundamental, I'm buying, and you're going to sell it to me for that range, that's done. And those are done with eye contact and handshake.
All right, so let's get to the bottom of this, right, Joe? So Jerry, again, spouting nonsense. So what he's saying is, you know, sometimes these deals don't get done on paper first. It's a handshake and you look him in the eye. Did we not do this back in March when you told us that you were in a meeting room with Micah Parsons, just you and him, and agreed to details, and away you go? April, May, June, July, now August. So apparently, Jerry, that's not how you get deals done.
And again, like, what can you hear me back there in the 50s, Jerry? Like, what year are you living in? We're not shaking hands and annexing Louisiana here, my friend, okay? This is a totally different world in 2025. This is about understanding agents are a part of the game. They have been for, I don't know, what, 3-4 decades now? The fact that you haven't spoken directly with Parsons since this supposed handshake, or even contacted his agent in any way, shape, or form, is maybe the most unbelievable thing. And now he's trying to sell it off like this is how we do it in the NFL. You haven't done business like that in the NFL in 100 years, Jerry. Stop it, man. It's just all nonsense.
I need to understand, and I don't know if we're ever going to get to the bottom of it, but I do need Micah Parsons to pick up that microphone, get that podcast going, and explain in detail, like step by step, how this is going through, how this is not his fault, and how they have no idea how the Dallas Cowboys do business. Because, once again, it cannot be about money. You understand, he's going to make more than anybody else. Now, here's what I need to hear. Jerry Jones going like, well, you know, TJ Watt got this deal. Myles Garrett got this deal. He wants a 30% increase over those deals. I said, okay, now that's just a little bit too much. But usually when you see the record deals come down, all you do is top it by like a percentage point. So you are the highest paid player, and that's what you deserve. So again, Joe, it can't be about the money. Is it personal feelings at this point? Does he not like the agent? Does he not like his own football team? Because nothing good comes out of this. And I understand in a couple weeks or a couple days, they're going to shake hands and say, there's a big to-do about nothing. We got him signed and away you go. But distractions on a football team that's trying to get ready for a new season with a new head coach is never a recipe for, say, you know what? That really galvanized us, that we fought with our best football player for months on end, and that drove us to getting to the Super Bowl. Stop it.
It's just amazing to me on how we have such short memories here. Because if you look back in the history of Jerry Jones, he has done this with just about every franchise important player when a contract came up. In fact, I think the only guy he didn't do this with was Troy Aikman, and that's because Jimmy Johnson probably threatened him to death. But they did it with Emmitt Smith. Right. Emmitt Smith actually had to sit out 2 games because to show how serious he was. He did it with CeeDee Lamb last year. He's been doing it with Dak Prescott ever since Dak Prescott took over as the starting quarterback. Now he did it with Ezekiel Elliott. Now he's doing it with Micah Parsons. Does anybody else see a track record here? Is there a trend that you're missing? This is Jerry Jones. But the fact that he did this and now is trying to sell it as if, you know, we're old school here in Dallas, and Micah Parsons walked into a meeting and thought you were going to talk about the leadership in a locker room, and you apparently cut him a contract. Like you made some sort of deal without his agent present. None of it surprises me with Jerry Jones because he's been doing this for how long now, Donnie?
It seems personal. It does, because the first time he's like one of the biggest agents in the NFL was like, I don't know his name. It's like, all right, here we go. Is this where we're going at this point? So it'll be interesting. It will end sooner than later, I do believe. I think he will be playing against the Philadelphia Eagles on that first Thursday in Philadelphia to kick off the NFL season. It is what it is at this point. But other business deals going around the NFL getting known here. How about Roger Goodell said yesterday here, just going over what ESPN now owns the Red Zone name and could use it for other sports. So let me ask you this question. The Red Zone, for a casual fantasy football fan, is fantastic. You get basically every game, but you get the important parts of the game where you just want to see touchdowns scored and points scored here. The red zone being used in other markets, does that just mean like college football? How would you have a red zone for like college basketball? Every time the team crossed half court, you got to turn the TV on? Like, how'd that even go?
They've been talking about that for a while. That's not new. They have. It's always been a topic of conversation on how can they work. A lot more media rights involved in college football than necessarily the NFL, right? So there's a lot of other obstacles when you start talking about college basketball and college basketball networks and college football. But they've been wanting to do some sort of style of the red zone for a while now. The problem is, do we really trust ESPN to pull all of this off and put it together? My fear, Donnie, is that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It ain't broke at the Reds. They're going to try to fix something, and it's not going to go over well.
It's like when you have like somebody has a great restaurant. You're like, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. I want to buy this restaurant from the current owner. And you go, look, I want to buy this, but I still want you to run this. I don't want to change a single thing. I'll pay you more money, but I think this investment is great. As opposed to, I'm going to buy this great restaurant, change the chef, and thank you for your service, whoever just owned it here. I'm getting a new manager in here. And you're like, man, this just doesn't taste the same. It just doesn't work. That's the same thing. Like, Red Zone is really good the way it is. Buy the entity. Don't change a single thing about it other than you are listed as the ownership group. And I think everybody probably will be happy with that. And it's Roger Goodell also saying that, hey, we don't compete with Major League Baseball and the NBA. We're competing with Google and Apple here. We understand that the biggest conglomerate is the NFL right now. Just keep it the same. We don't want a lot of change in the NFL. It's fine the way it is, and that also includes the red zone at this point now. A lot more hot topics coming up. You know, coaches getting to scrums on the field. Amazing stuff happening. It's what we do right here on the SportsGrid Network, keeping you involved on all the latest topics. Joe Ranieri, Donnie Rightside. We'll be back right after this short break for more action. Right back at it, people. It's the early line, bright and early on a Thursday here. We got NFL action tonight, a triple header on the card tonight. Huge line movements. We'll handicap those games, each and every one of them. But you know what we like at a training camp? Like, have you ever played football in your life? I don't care if it's peewee football. I don't care if it's middle school football, high school football, college, or professional ranks here. Nobody likes to go to camp. Nobody likes to be sore. Nobody likes to be tired. Nobody likes to be 90-degree temperatures, and you're hitting the same guy every single play. Fights end up breaking out. Now, typically, the scrums happen, the teams separate themselves, but every once in a while, you need outside reinforcements. And there's a tweet yesterday from Zach Cox that says Mike Vrabel is bleeding from his face after diving into a pile to try to prevent a fight. Can't say I've ever seen that before. The man, you cannot take the football out of this football coach. Getting down and dirty with the boys. The boys got to like that too, right?
Well, like I said, your teams always take on the persona of their head coach, right? And Vrabel is always been known as a player's coach. This is a guy that, as a player and a head coach, if you're a player looking at him, this is a guy that's been in the trenches. This is a guy that's got more rings than you could ever possibly hope to have on a hand here. He has been there. He has done that. And he carries himself like a player still. He has always been involved in practices and drills and going toe-to-toe with guys. And football players, they love that mentality. The Patriots are not going to be pushed around. They may not win as many games as you want them to, but my goodness, every game, win or lose, is going to be a fight when it comes to the Patriots and Vrabel.
There's always fights in camp. And by the way, I always like to go back to like the mid 1990s in high school. I was a senior. Like, we had a 2-platoon football team, which basically meant, offense stays on one side, defense stays on one side, and you're all practicing against each other day in and day out. And they're your friends too. But it's hot, it's humid, it's angriness out there. And we were just doing run drills, and I'm a wide receiver. So my job was to go sort of like tie up the linebacker, maybe scrape off to get to a free safety. But one of my really good friends was a linebacker. I'm telling you, Joe, I held that kid every single play because there's no refs in practice. Every play until he basically was swinging on me. And when he was doing that, I sort of step away out. The offensive line handle their business there, and I walk back to the huddle with a big smile on my face. So just getting under people's skin is the way you do it in camp. It's always nice to see the coach say, hey, you know what? You don't want to break it up? I'll break it up right now. There's your boy DRS holding on every play when there's no referee as a wide receiver. That's the way you get it done here. But we talk about really good head coaches. That doesn't always mean coach of the year. It feels like when you're a coach of the year, Joe, you can't have too good a football team. You can't have too bad of a football team. You can't have high expectations. You got to overachieve a little bit to get that, because otherwise we would just say, okay, Andy Reid's the best coach every single year. You know, Mike Tomlin's a great coach every single year. Nick Sirianni's winning Super Bowls. He's horrible. You get the point in this, right? So we look at the props market here. It's Ben Johnson at plus 650 price in the lead right now. But we're talking about Mike Vrabel. He's plus 750. Liam Cohen at 10-1. Aaron Glenn at 13-1. Pete Carroll 14-1. We say, what are we talking about here? None of those teams are going to win a Super Bowl, but yet we have the coaches of the year. Why? Because how I just explained it to you. The best coach doesn't win coach of the year. Make it make sense. It doesn't. The coach of the year is from a team with not a lot of expectations, but overachieves. Ben Johnson in the lead, Joe. Do you agree with that?
Well, this is funny, Donnie. Here's a trivia question for everyone watching. Who was the coach of the year last year? Exactly. I can tell you this right now here. The first 5 names on that list are all first-year head coaches with those teams. So what are the expectations? So you're telling me Aaron Glenn, for instance, the Jets head coach. So if they win, and what's their win total, Donnie? We lay at 5.5. So if they win 8 games, 9 games at 13-1, I got a pretty good shot of Aaron. Okay, so maybe he doesn't make the playoffs. He still finishes second to Buffalo, but he won, 3 or 4 more games than he was supposed. Is that like what is the barometer here for coach of the year? Because I can't even remember who won it last year, Donnie, if we're being honest.
Like, look at the MVP market, right? The best football players. We're not saying Patrick Mahomes gets lucky. He's got Andy Reid as a coach. He's got pretty good wide receivers. He's got a good running back. He's got Travis Kelce at tight end. Like, we don't look at it that way. Or Lamar Jackson, he's too good. Let's move him down. Like, look at the awards market and how it sets up. Not the top, Joe, the bottom. John Harbaugh, 75-1. They're supposed to win the Super Bowl this year based on the odds market. You know who's next at 75-1? It's Nick Sirianni, who's been to 2 Super Bowls and won a Super Bowl. Like, he's the second worst coach in the NFL. How about Andy Reid, 75-1? Maybe one of the best coaches in the history of the sport. He's third to the bottom for the awards market for being NFL Coach of the Year. It's an unbelievable. Honestly, I think it should go away, but that just goes to show you. Ben Johnson is the favorite. John Harbaugh, Nick Sirianni, and Andy Reid have no shot to be Coach of the Year this year. It's awesome stuff here. It's the way we get down in the early line. A lot of NFL talk coming your way over this next hour here. It's just the way we do it. It feels like it's a football Friday, even though it's a Thursday. But we've got 3 big games across the NFL landscape. It's Joe Ranieri and it's Donnie Rightside right here on the SportsGrid Network. But let me ask you this, Joe, here. We got some interesting topics to talk about because we're going to get into some things on quarterbacks that are starting, teams that normally don't play their guys in the preseason, playing their guys in the preseason, line swings that have been absolutely massive, who's getting that CLV depending on which way they're going. So we got some good topics. Usually the preseason is really boring, Joe. Tonight's preseason, it ain't boring at all.
No, it's not. I mean, we have an opportunity to check out some quarterbacks, some new head coaches, where we're going to see, apparently, Donnie, we're going to see a few more starters for a few more plays than we thought we may, or at least that we have in years past. But once they, shaved off that final preseason game, now you're running out of opportunities to be able to get your reps in. So maybe this is a good thing moving forward. Injuries are injuries. They're going to happen whether you're playing, practicing, or not. So I think it's more important for some of these teams tonight to make sure that they get some reps in for some of these starters.
Feeds right into us. How about a really good Fade the Public poll?
Ooh.
Fading the public. It's what we like to do. Check in with the public each and every time here at the top of the hour. We want to ask the public where they're going on a question that we have for them. At SportsGrid on X, the question we asked today in the poll, Joe, who will start more games for the Colts this season? There's 2 options listed. It's Anthony Richardson and it's Daniel Jones. Looking at the early topics, Daniel Jones leads the way with about 55% of the early vote at this point right now. We're already writing off Anthony Richardson, Joe.
Well, how can you not? I mean,
Man.
let's be realistic here. He's going to get an opportunity to be the starter simply because they invested the draft pick in him that high, where they have to win or lose. They're going to have to give him an opportunity to succeed in some way. I just don't think he will. And if not, you got yourself a veteran behind him who has been there, done that. Nothing more than a glorified backup anyway. But the fact that that is almost a 50-50 answer there, that tells you everything about the state of the quarterback position for the Indianapolis Colts.
It's actually a great question because there's so many layers to this, right? It's like, who will start more games for the Colts this season? I want to let them believe, and I voted for Anthony Richardson because I think the way the Colts want to run their organization is, we drafted the guy high, and he's finally going to be a franchise guy, and away we go. We're going to give him every opportunity that we can. But also at the same time, Joe, lay this out for me. Wow, Anthony Richardson looks good for the first 2 games. Oh, no, shoulder contusion, game number 3. He's out to week number 7, and what's the point of putting him back out there? And Daniel Jones just by default starts more games. So I do think the public might be right by saying, look, even though we think it should be Anthony Richardson, but he hasn't shown any propensity to play well and stay healthy at the same time. And Daniel Jones has played average at times and has been healthy at times. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
And that's why this poll is 50-50 here, is that both guys have shown maybe a propensity to be a little injury prone at times. And the fact that we have no clear number one at this point, I think tells you everything you need to know. Somebody's going to have to be the starting quarterback. But how many games are both of these guys going to start this year, Donnie, if you had to take a guess? Is it going to be split down the middle, injuries aside? I mean, Anthony Richardson may play the first 3 or 4 games, get hurt, and then we got to deal with who? We got to deal with Danny Dimes until he gets hurt, and then we got to hope we can sign somebody off the scrap heap. That's the direction Indy is heading, unfortunately.
I think Riley Leonard also broke his hand, so I don't even know how long he's going to be out for at this point. So it is Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. But also understand this, like talking to Daniel Jones' agent, they're probably like, hey, we got a great backup spot for you. Here's what we need you to do. We know you're not going to upset the apple cart in our quarterback room. We want you to push Anthony Richardson to try to make him the best players. And it turns out if you're the better quarterback, then you'll play. Hint, hint. We want Anthony Richardson to be that quarterback. So it'd be funny if like Daniel Jones was brought in to like sort of push Anthony Richardson and just took his job. We're not talking about like Kirk Cousins where you say, okay, line up the reels here. Wow, he threw for a lot of yards that year. Boy, he threw for a lot of touchdowns that year. You won a lot of football games in the NFL. It's Daniel Jones. Like, can you imagine Anthony Richardson in 2 years being out of the NFL and like, hey, man, what happened in the NFL run? Yeah, man. I just couldn't beat out Anthony or Daniel Jones. I mean, it's just a tough brawl here. You know, I lost out and I'm out of the NFL. That can't be. You can't draft this guy in the top 5 and Daniel Jones come along and beat him out. You can't have that.
No, not with the listen, Shane Steichen, I think, is a great offensive coordinator. You know that. Head coach, I still think he might be limited in say with that front office right now. So they're going to make sure that he gets every opportunity here, whether it's good for the team or not. Now, my hope is that they're going to not ask him to do so much and that let the running game and this defense. Don't forget Lou Anarumo's new defensive coordinator there. They've kind of upgraded that side of the ball there through the draft and free agency. So let's hope that the defense in that division holds up and they don't need Anthony Richardson to throw the ball, 30, 40 times in a game.
Let's have this one out, too, because we just saw a graphic pop up on the screen. Week 1 starting odds for quarterbacks. Throughout the summer, Joe, this was a dead heat. It's no longer a dead heat. It's Anthony Richardson minus 350. If I'm betting on this or I'm the odds maker, I actually think this is correct. I don't think there's any way, shape, or form if both of these guys are healthy, week 1, Anthony Richardson doesn't start. So let me ask you this. If we are going down the stretch, is it a true quarterback competition? Because unless Anthony Richardson is A, injured, or B, throws like 3 interceptions every single preseason game, I would be shocked if he's not the starter in week number 1, even, Joe, if he's not the better quarterback in camp right now.
Yeah, I agree, Donnie. I think he's going to be there regardless. But the fact that they're not mentioning it now and they're still making it seem as if, we saw the Giants, right? We saw Dable be like, listen, Dart is not playing. He's not our starting quarterback. It's great. Like, it's been established. And I think there's something to be said for a locker room who knows who their leader is going to be. Who's the guy under center? The sooner you can get to that determination, I think the better off it's going to be for everybody. But you got to wonder, does Steichen really believe that's his starting quarterback? Does he buy it?
I'm telling you right now, it's a shit. Like Shane Steichen, I do think is a very good offensive coordinator, but sometimes you just go to a place in a position where you just can't get it right, and that's always going to be troublesome. And I don't think they're going to get it right either way. Like Daniel Jones isn't leading you to the playoffs, and quite frankly, I don't think Anthony Richardson is. So it seems like, hey, Shane Steichen, play Anthony Richardson. He's going to stink. You'll end up getting yourself fired, but we'll try to go for Arch Manning or whoever's in the draft next year if they come out at this point. So this is the perfect time now to transition over to the game tonight because the Indianapolis Colts are taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Joe, this line opened up at -1.5 as a favorite towards the Colts. We're now seeing at most outlets right now a 6 and a 5.5 at certain places as well. A total in this game which opened up at 34.5 and now sits at 36.5. Why? The expectation is Anthony Richardson is going to play a quarter and a half, with Daniel Jones playing half of a quarter. So essentially, we're looking at the first half, two guys battling in a quarterback competition. Now, first I'll ask you, and we'll get after the break here, and we'll double down on it. Do you agree with this line movement? Because the Ravens, they're known to be butt kickers in the preseason, to be nice.
Look at the first half line, Donnie, and that'll tell you everything you need to know. The Colts have been steamed to over a field goal favorite, 3.5. So what the books are telling you is that expect more starters, more rotations for the Colts early, and then good luck trying to figure it out late.
More to talk about next. It's an intriguing game right here on the early line. We got football Armageddon right now in preseason action. Something we don't see all that much, Joe. And as I watch right now, those 1.5s here at the opening number, I now just saw a 6.5 crack across DraftKings right now as a favorite towards the Indianapolis Colts. Now, typically in the preseason, you might say, like, yeah, Don, of course. Like one team has a quarterback battle, which means if you play both of those starters, you have to start them on equal footing, right? Now, you know, most of the starters are going to play, obviously, with the starting quarterback in the game. That's Anthony Richardson. But if Daniel Jones comes in, you can't say, okay, 4 stringers, guys that won't be here next week, get out there and play with Daniel Jones. We'll measure up the same. You have to have some modicum of success for both of these guys and call it a legitimate game plan so you can equally evaluate. Now, understand this, too. NFL coaches will tell you, Joe Ranieri, they don't put much stock in the preseason games. You win this in the scrimmages, and you win this in daily practices here, not in the game itself, but barring. It'd be great if you threw 3 touchdown passes. It would be terrible if you threw 3 interceptions. But here's the issue I have. Like, again, with the odds makers, Baltimore doesn't lose preseason games. Baltimore usually wins those games. Baltimore is usually favored in those games. Baltimore is now getting close to 7. So my spidey senses are telling me, just on the line alone, you should probably be taking Indy. But there's that pride in that locker room that you're right. Once that first half is done, and the rest of the guys are out there, and the starters aren't in anymore for the Colts, particularly the starting quarterbacks, there's no saying that Baltimore can't cover this number or win this game outright, right?
Well, you got to look. We're not going to see Lamar, right? I think, is that fair to say? We're probably, if we're going to see him, it's for one snap, one series, and that's it. So that means we got what? Cooper Rush and Devin Leary as the backups there for the Baltimore Ravens. So judging from the line movement here, we believe this true quarterback battle between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones is probably both of those guys who have experience, obviously, as NFL quarterbacks. Both of those guys are going to be battling. So I think this line movement is telling you they expect the Colts, especially the quarterback spot, to be much more intense here and trying to get, show off what they have, as opposed to, Leary or whatever Baltimore is going to throw out there in this spot here, which would be Cooper Rush, who, again, we're talking about a backup battle here. So if I would do it, I'd bet it early. I would bet the Colts early over a field goal, by the way. So I think that's telling you everything you need to know. 3.5 points the Colts are laying on the road, no less, as a road favorite. If you're going to give me the 0.5 point, there's probably a reason in the preseason that it's been steamed up to this. So yeah, I like the Colts early in this one.
Yeah, I want to see where this goes and that line goes, right? Because now seeing 6.5 crack through, it'd be crazy if we saw a 7, like the Baltimore Ravens getting a 7. It would be one of those, Joe, where the game finishes, you're either saying this, of course Indy was going to win. Did you see that line against the Baltimore Ravens? Or, of course Baltimore is going to cover the 7. That's what they always do. So it's almost like that line of demarcation. It's like, we'll know it at the end of the game. Like, oh, That was the easiest pick ever. Either way it goes at this point. Let's head to Philadelphia because we have even more intrigue as well. I just told you a line that opened up as a 1.5-point favorite for the Colts and is now turning into 6.5 as a favorite for the Colts as the road team. The Cincinnati Bengals head to Philadelphia tonight. Did you know, Joe Ranier, the opening lines, -2.5 as a favorite towards the Philadelphia Eagles. Across the board right now, 5.5 as high as 6.5 now, not as a favorite towards the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the Cincinnati Bengals. Why? Because now we're taking a look at Zach Taylor, the head coach, telling us we've gotten out to slow starts over the past couple of years. That needs to change. That doesn't mean Joe Burrow plays all 4 quarters in the first 3 preseason games before he takes flight in September. It just means I'm going to give him a series 2 or 3 to see how we get going. But that's a massive line move against the Philadelphia Eagles. Are you buying the Bengals? And also, do you agree that Joe Burrow should be playing at least a few series in preseason game number 1?
So again, we've got back-to-back road teams that have been steamed up beyond recognition, almost a touchdown here. So when you look at who's going to play for Cincinnati, all right, Burrow's going to play a couple of snaps. Great. Then you got Jake Browning, who was the backup, right, a year ago. You got Peyton Thorne. You got Desmond Ridder for the Cincinnati Bengals. Philadelphia, we know Jalen Hurts likely not to see a whole lot of action. So Tanner McGee, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Kyle McCord. From an experience standpoint, it certainly feels like Cincinnati's going to have the edge. However long Burrow plays, once you get past that, you're still talking about guys with snap experience, and especially Jake Brown being the backup already. I see why the money is coming in on Cincinnati. But in preseason, when you see that much line movement to a road team, there's often a reason for it.
That's a good point you bring up, too, because we understand in the preseason, it's not really about game planning all that much. Now, you have a couple game plan series because Joe Burrow's not going to go out there and be like, hey, let's just make stuff up on the fly. That's how bad things happen. Same thing with the Indianapolis Colts. They're not saying, hey, we've got a quarterback battle, no game plan in here. They're going to have set plays that they want to go over and certainly execute. But your point on the Philadelphia Eagles, you're not seeing Jalen Hurts tonight. The one guy that could make a big difference is Tanner McKee. He's not supposed to play tonight, Joe, which means that first preseason game is usually now worse than the third preseason game. If you get a lot of Kyle McCord, those are usually your worst case scenarios where a kid fresh out of college thrust into starting for an NFL team in preseason game number 1. Those usually don't work out all that well unless you're a first-round draft pick, and typically they don't even start in week number 1 anyway at this point. So if you are just getting a lot of Kyle McCord and not like a Tanner McKee, that could be a big difference. Now, Dorian Thompson-Robinson probably going to get a look, but more likely, you're going to get at least a half out of McCord going up against a much more vulnerable team in the Eagles going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. So I like where you're going with this here, Ray. You're just matching quarterbacks. The advantage tonight, quarterback, it's with the Bengals.
Yep, absolutely. It's with the Bengals. And you've already heard the coach tell you there is a sense of urgency this preseason where we have taken, and we gave the record yesterday. I mean, Zach Taylor is just horrific over the last couple of seasons in the preseason, treated it like it didn't matter. This year, it sounds like we're not going to keep doing the same thing. We're going to mix it up, and maybe that'll change their fortunes early on in the season. Instead of starting 0-4 or 1-3, maybe they can start 3-1 and have a totally different outlook.
Exactly. Eagles are playing tonight. You know, I love the Eagles. I'll be watching, but how long for? Elijah Cooks at wideout, Anais Smith, Terrace Marshall, Darius Cooper, Tyler Morin, Giles Jackson, like guys I've never even heard of are going to get played tonight. This is your chance to take that picture on the field, grab a football, sign it yourself, and say, you know what, kids, I played in an NFL game. Take a look at this picture. Show out tonight. Keep your job a few more days longer, but sooner than later, those cuts certainly are coming here. The Pete Carroll Bowl? What? Yeah, we're talking about that next right here on the early line. All right, talking some NFL action. It feels good here. Week number 1 of the preseason. I guess like we have week 0, Joe, in college football, which comes up August 23rd. I guess week 0 was last week in the preseason. We had the Hall of Fame game, just that extra 4th game for certain teams that get it. That was the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Chargers. If you ask me, the Chargers are probably saying, you know what, we feel good about that game. The Lions are like, all right, this is the Super Bowl this week. Preseason game number 2 for us. But again, most teams are only in preseason game number 1. How about Vegas? And how about Seattle? How about Seattle saying, all right, well, Pete Carroll's not our coach anymore, but now Pete Carroll's now the coach in Las Vegas. And also a quarterback change here, right? Geno Smith was in Seattle. He's no longer in Seattle. He's the quarterback now for the Las Vegas Raiders at this point. If we line this one up, also starting as a favorite at -1.5 for the Seattle Seahawks at home It's no longer the case. We got 4.5s across the board as a favorite towards the Vegas Raiders, Joe Ranieri. Big line movement here.
Again, another road team, Donnie, that has gotten a whole lot of money. And when you take a look at the quarterback matchups for this one, right? We know Sam Darnold, the new man in Seattle. Jalen Milroe is behind him, former Alabama quarterback there. And then you got Drew Lock. And on the other side, you got Aiden O'Connell backing up Geno Smith. You got a rookie in Cam Miller out of North Dakota State. He is also there. What you have here is two offenses that are in transition here. New quarterbacks, new coaches, new OCs. This could be one of the games that might just be like watching paint dry here. We know Pete Carroll loves to win preseason games. He had a pretty good record when he was in Seattle, but neither of these offenses, to me, are well-oiled machines yet. This could just be one of those games where maybe it's more concentration on the defenses being ahead of the offenses, and there could be fewer points in this one.
By the way, we start to get more and more information, different ways to bet prop bets here in the preseason. It used to be, Joe, right? It was like you have the side, the total, and the book's like, we want nothing to do with the rest of this game. You weren't even getting like first quarters, first halves, or anything like that. But now I see you can actually bet Raiders team total touchdown passes. Same thing here with the Las Vegas Raiders. But also understand this, like this isn't just this game. The other two games here tonight also have those opportunities. But now I'm seeing in this player props here, Geno Smith to throw a touchdown pass on his first offensive drive, plus 410. Ashton Jeanty to score a touchdown on his first offensive drive, plus 410. So if we're led to believe that Geno Smith is going to play, and I gave you a free bet, let's just say they go down and score a touchdown on that first drive. Doesn't it feel to you if they get inside the 5, they just want to get it to Jeanty or Brock Bowers, 10-1 price to score a touchdown on the first drive?
I would find it hard to believe that Seattle defensively is going to lay down and let their former quarterback light him up if he's out there in the first series. I doubt that very much. Not to mention that you're talking about a big time in McDonald, a big time defensive guy there in Seattle. He is not going to want Geno Smith making them look bad. So yeah, I would bet against any sort of success for Geno Smith early in this one.
And you're looking at a high total, Joe, by the way, of 37.5 in this game. We usually see these games usually measured in the lower 30s. So maybe there is a little bit of animosity between these two franchises and certainly just being competitive, saying, we got Geno. He's better than what you have now in Sam Darnold. And one side saying like, well, you're no longer our head coach. So I'm going to show you why you're no longer our head coach. We're not supposed to get these storylines in the preseason at all. But there's a reason why sometimes I feel like these games get set up by the NFL. Like, who you want to play first? Hey. Why line up Vegas over there going against Seattle? We'll just max them up here. And granted, they're West Coast teams and sort of close to each other, if you as opposed to the Seattle Seahawks going down to take on the Miami Dolphins. But also at the same time, it should be a fun game as it plays out. If I told you all 3 games tonight, Joe, from an entertaining perspective for you, which game would you watch?
Well, I think you got to look at Cincinnati because it's going to be different. We're actually going to get to see Burrow and this new look offense and see what they've got. I don't think this game matters a whole lot to Philadelphia at this point. But it's going to be interesting to see how long does the starters and Joe Burrow and company, how many series do they play against Philadelphia? I think that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, take a look at those first, last week's game, 32, 33.5. Look at these totals for tonight, and they all opened up lower than what they currently sit at now. The Ravens game, 34.5, now sits at 36.5. You take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles game, that was 35.5, now 37.5. And then you take a look at that Vegas-Seattle game, was 35.5, now sitting at 37s across the betting landscape right now. Fun night in NFL action, 3 preseason games, and actually some intrigue, which is great to see. Really good, really good slate of games tonight in the NFL. We're certainly going to get caught up with that. It's Donnie Rightside and it's Joe Ranieri, but also we'd like to welcome in Cam Stewart here, SportsGrid's finest right here. Love the fact he joins us this morning. We got a lot to talk about, and Cam, we're happy to see you.
Happy to see you and my boy Joe, the mayor of Miami. Donnie, always a pleasure. We have football tonight Every day is football day. We got 3 exhibition preseason games in the NFL. We got a Canadian Football League tilt between Babano's Hamilton Tiger Cats and the BC Lions on SGA night, guys. They're bringing in Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, giving him the key to the city. A big night in the Hammer. These guys like to party to begin with, Donnie. I think the parade starts at noon. They're already drunk. Now, a couple hours anyway. They'll be fully lit.
Maybe they'll finish the Michelob Lights tonight on SGA night. We'll certainly have to find out a little bit later if that takes place. But, Cam, we got some big doings here in preseason NFL action. We usually don't get intrigue in week number 1. We're hearing coaches talk to us about players playing that normally don't play in the preseason. Before we get to the individual games, Cam, what do you take out of coaches speak before heading into preseason action?
Nothing, Donnie. Honestly, I wish I didn't even read the reports. It's all lies. These guys, I'm not playing anybody. He'll play 3 series, maybe 1. Anyway, all this is a smokescreen. It's kind of like the NFL draft. Why would you believe anything these guys are saying when they're trying to get leverage? But I guess in the Indianapolis Colts situation, you have 2 starting quarterbacks. I put that in air quotes. In their game against the Baltimore Ravens, a team that is historically dominated, but not recently, guys. The last couple of years, what are they, 0-6, these guys in the preseason? So Harbaugh was the man, but once he got to that record, it doesn't seem like things are going as well for them. They're big picture. There's certain teams with the big picture. Baltimore, they're thinking big picture. The Philadelphia Eagles thinking that way. But the Raiders-Seahawks game, very intriguing. A lot of very talented rookies on both sides, guys. And, I'm a big Seahawks fan. I've been reading the reports. Horton, the receiver out of Colorado State, is doing special things right now. And I'll tell you, Pete Carroll, he would love to go into Seattle and beat his old team. I know it's the preseason, but new era, first game. He's a raw guy, but you could have got the Raiders at 1.5. Do you really want to lay 4.5 in a preseason game on the road? Crazy stuff, guys. We've never seen numbers like this. 6.5 for the Colts, 5.5 for the Bengals, and 4.5 for the Raiders. Usually these games are closer to pick.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what they opened up, Cam. But we've got all road teams getting nothing but money all week long and steaming them up to almost key numbers. I mean, we're talking almost a touchdown here across the board. And it appears that all of these road teams have maybe taken it a little bit more seriously than maybe what the home teams are going to be doing here in this tonight in these games.
Good call, Joe. And the thing is, I look at Indianapolis in the way, I know you look at quarterback depth, but Daniel Jones, despite being not a great starter, he's played many games in the league, and you have Anthony Richardson. So not just one quarterback, they got 2. So you got to think about this, and these guys want to put their foot forward. So I think in 6.5, so many damn points to lay. Donnie, Joe, I don't know about Joe Burrow. They're talking 3 series, maybe 1 or 2. I don't know if they're going to get there. Do I want to lay 5.5 points with the Bengals? But then their big thing is, we always get out of the gate slow. We're the Cincinnati Bengals. Can't afford to do it now in the preseason. Bottom line is this. Don't get Joe Burrow hurt or your season's already dead. You have one of the worst offensive lines and defense in the National Football League. So I wouldn't be screwing around with this one. And guys, I'm going to tell you, I'm taking Seattle. Earlier, I liked the Raiders, but I can't lay 4.5 points with a road team in that situation. I get it. It's going to be very vanilla. You're going to see maybe, a lot of Jalen Milroe in this spot. Hopefully he can do well. We know he can beat you with his legs, a little bit erratic with the arm. That's why he slipped in the draft. But I got to tell you guys, that's a lot of points to be laying in these games. I don't know how you and Donnie, how are you and Joe attacking these games? Because right now, the first thing you do, we had the Chargers in the first game. I'm looking at dogs going, can I make a case for these dogs? And I think I can. The one favorite, I think Indianapolis might actually cover the number. It's a huge number, but I think because of the 2 starting quarterbacks, maybe they get like a 14-point lead in this game and hold on. But the back door is always open with these big numbers.
It's a very good point you make, Cam, because usually in the preseason, we don't see these big numbers. Like, wow, a 3.5, that's amazing. You got that high. Like the preseason opener, which was the Hall of Fame game last Thursday night, was a 1.5, 2-point line. So it's like, all right, if I take the underdog, they probably have to win it outright. That's not the case here. You might be getting a touchdown in 2 of these games, Cam. You look at that Indianapolis and Baltimore game. It's not up to 6.5. There's a chance we crack 7. Same thing with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles. And also, we don't know the game script. And when we talk about these guys are going to get a first half, this quarterback's going to get 3 series, which is what they're talking about Joe Burrow. What happens if Burrow goes out on that first drive, Cam? 5 plays, 52 yards, and a field goal. He's not coming back out for series number 2. So now you're laying 6.5 points. You got 3 out of Burrow, which was your big gun. And now you're saying, they could just play him even up the rest of the way here, Cam.
Great point. Say they don't even score points. You're getting an inflated line with the Eagles. Say he goes down the field and they punt. Say it's 3 and out. Like it just doesn't work out. Anything can happen, right? So I'm with you. You're getting incredible line value with the Philadelphia Eagles. I get it. They're, the Super Bowl champs. They took Kansas City out to the woodshed, but it's a preseason game. We don't know. Maybe Tanner McKee goes out there and does well. That's the whole thing. betting these games is very, very difficult. You look for an edge, and the only thing I look for with Indianapolis is their quarterback depth and guys trying to win jobs. So they're going to be out a little bit longer. Maybe they get it done. But you know what? If you look at, I think maybe guys, would you guys bet all 3 dogs and hope you go 2 out of 3? Like, I don't know exactly how to do it, but for me, the one favorite's Indy. I'm looking at the Eagles and Seahawks. Don't love these games. What do you think about the totals, guys, in any of these games? Do you see any edges? Like the Raiders game is the highest total at 37.5. I know Pete's probably going to want to, take some shots. One thing Milroe does well, as you guys know, knowing college football as well, he throws a beautiful deep ball. His other short stuff is not good. So maybe hitting a couple plays like that, that's a total that I'd maybe look at. But these are very, very hard games to cap, guys.
Yeah.
How hard was it for the FedEx St. Jude for you to cap, man? Who did you go with? Let me guess. Tell me, is it who I think it is? Is it Scotty?
I'm at plus 280, Joe. You'd have to have me tied up in a basement with a gun and say, bet it. Lick it, Cameron. I know, honestly, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. Sir, are you betting it? No, you're betting it. No, I'm not taking this guy in a tournament that he doesn't need to win under 3-1. And the way I look at it is the way the line jumps from him to Xander Schauffele. So you're telling me, ladies and gentlemen, I can get Xander Schauffele, who's in good form right now, at 18-1, or I can get Scotty Scheffler. I get it. Scotty Scheffler can win. But this is also, he's thinking about Eastlake. That's the big picture. The top 30 outside of Atlanta. Just do your thing. Hell, Rory McIlroy doesn't even show up. And by the way, I have something to say. Hey, Mr. PGA, Mr. Liv, how about you just shut the K-Cole, go out and show up in a tournament. You got 3 damn golf tournaments, and what, you're taking a vacation? Scotty Scheffler showed up. The rest of these guys showed up. I'm sorry. I know everyone loves Rory, but I don't like the way he handled his business here, guys. That's unacceptable. In the PGA Tour, this is never going to happen again. I guarantee you get docked point. Something's going to happen because they look like absolute chumps.
Cam Stewart bringing the heat here on a Thursday. Thanks for joining us, Cam. Love you right here on the SportsGrid Network. Topics, and more topics, and sometimes different topics jump in. We're a live show here. We like to go on and have some fun and see if some things come up. We're going to talk a little bit about some action you need to take on the diamond a little bit later today and also on the gridiron. But did you see some of the news coming out from an Ian Rappaport tweet this morning, Joe Ranieri, that says Arch Manning on his grandson if he'll declare for the 2026 NFL draft? He goes, no, he's not going to do that. He'll be back at Texas. So let me just ask you this quick question, because I'm sure we'll dilute into this tomorrow as well. Is Arch Manning's not as good as we thought he is, and that's why he needs to keep playing college football because he's not really that good and he's not ready for the pros? Make it make sense to me. Does it make sense?
Listen, his availability for the draft next year, Donnie, is going to be completely contingent upon what kind of season he has this year. If he is successful, if Texas is successful, and we're going to learn rather quickly in week 0 how good this team may be, then there is nothing left for him to come back to the University of Texas for. Unless he falls on his face or gets hurt, then yes, he has the opportunity to come back and play for another year. But his availability is all based upon how successful this team is this year.
You remember Matt Leinart, USC quarterback, early 2000s? Hot as all can get out here when he was coming out supposedly as a junior. I love college, love the girls, love the party life. I'm going to take dance class. I'm going to go back to school. Yeah, how'd that work out for the rest of your career? When the iron is hot, you must strike. Maybe Arch Manning does that. Maybe he doesn't here. But you know what? When the iron's hot, we got to strike too. Here's bye, bye, bye. Joe, red hot last week, hot to enter this week, tripped up a little bit last night. No better chance to get back today. Is it baseball? Is it football? Where are we going tonight?
Oh, well, why not? Let's go with the NFL preseason here, Donnie. Mix it up a little bit. I'm going to be looking at the total in the late game with the Raiders and the Seahawks. And Cam alluded to it that this was one of the highest totals on the board right now in preseason, which for the most part, we're usually used to low 30s for scores and for totals. But I don't get this 37 mark here, given the fact that we don't have a ton of quarterback depth here with the Raiders. I mean, you got Aiden O'Connell is behind Geno, but you got the rookie Cam Miller out of North Dakota State, who is in all likelihood going to get to see a ton of action late in this game here. And explain to me exactly, both of these teams, new coaching staffs, new offensive coordinator, new quarterbacks. I don't see the defenses, from what I'm reading and hearing, are way ahead of the offenses here This is going to be a lot of running with guys like Jalen Milroe, a lot of vanilla play calling, especially in the second half. I expect the defenses to be way ahead here. I like the under here tonight, 37 and a half with the Raiders and the Seahawks. I am not buying any sort of air raid offense. It's what got the Seahawks OC fired last year. They're going to be running a lot in this game here. And, I think there's some value on the under.